Brad, can you just talk about how Kemba Walker got off to a tough night shooting, but then in the fourth quarter he heated up and he also took I think 4 charges.
No, he's always done that. When the U.S. beat Turkey in that overtime game, he took 2 charges in overtime that were as big as any of the shots he hit. Like, he's just always been a guy that's willing to lay his body on the line to win. You could see that he was pressing early. I mean, he missed a bunch of shots that I think he'll normally hit. And then he got his little, when he starts going downhill like that, he makes the little pull up, and then he pulled up for the 3. And then he got into the body of the big a couple times and made those layups. He just looked like he had an extra gear, and he probably wasn't thinking about it going in. He was just going to be Kemba Walker. And, that's one of the things. He's just going to get more used to it. We tried to stay in a couple of actions that he's really used to late, and he did a great job of just reading it and making the right play, whether it was a shot for him or somebody else.
Coach Grant Williams, his contributions in the second half, specifically with that starting group, just talk about what he meant for that team, for that lineup.
Well, I texted Grant yesterday and said, you better know all of the 5 by tomorrow. And he does. He's worked on both the 4 and the 5, but we just haven't played him there much. And Ibaka and Gasol's shooting's a problem. You saw a few times in pick and roll we were recovering to shooters as guys were laying it in. So we got to do a better job with that. But Grant did a good job, and he's physical. He can make up for some of his lack of size with his body. He's strong.
Brad, offensive rebounds were huge for you guys tonight. Is that just something that happened, or is that something that you guys have been focusing on?
We missed 57 shots in the Philly game, and the only thing we said was if your job is to go. And that's what we were talking about earlier today. We don't want to flood the offensive glass and not be back in transition, but the appropriate guys have to go at the appropriate times. We've got a lot of athletic wings. Depending on where they are on the floor, we want them to go.
Brad, you've been on the wrong side of Kemba outbursts in the past. When he gets going like that and you're coaching him, what do you try to do to maximize that run?
I've said this many times. I mean, with Isaiah, Kyrie, and now Kemba, all you have to do is get those guys a step. So, like I said earlier, we've added stuff right from the get-go that was in the Charlotte playbook that they ran a lot. That's very, simple, but gives him great spacing and gets him a chance to make a play downhill. And he got going downhill and made plays for everybody. When he gets those screens that high on the floor, he's a hard guy to stop with the threat of the 3 as a pull-up and then the ability to go by guys. All these guards are in this league. That's what makes it so hard to guard right now.
Coach, Bill kind of alluded to it about the charges, but was it the defense as good as Siakam was unstoppable, but was it as much the defense that got you guys into such a good rhythm?
I thought we played really good defense all night.
Right.
There were moments where, again, we didn't do our job as well as we can in pick and roll, but I think those are just teaching moments against really good players. Lowry had us on skates a little bit. Van Fleet had us on skates, and the Big's ability to shoot scared us. And we just have to be able to do first things first there. But other than that, I felt like we really guarded. And Siakam, out of the 5 threes he made, I thought 4 of them were awfully difficult. At least, those were not shots he was making 2 years ago. And so credit him for that. Guys get better. Scouting report changes.
Brad, it's early in the process. We're 2 games in. You won the game. What are you most happy with tonight?
No different. I don't feel much different than I felt on Wednesday. I thought we played hard on Wednesday. We just made a lot of mistakes. But this is early in the year. We're not doing jumping jacks when we win, and we're not going to put our head in our hands when we lose. We're just going to move forward.
Brad.
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, some people have Toronto 5th, 6th, or 7th in the East. Can you kind of describe how hard you think it's going to be to win in this conference? It just seems like they're a little bit better than that, and you guys are going to have to kind of grind. I mean, the first 2 games, can you just look at this conference or look at this league and kind of think it's going to be hard every night?
I mean, it is hard every night. The NBA is really hard. Anybody can win on any given night, and these guys are so good, and they all get better. I've laughed at the whole idea that Toronto, even though they won it, is still underappreciated and underranked, because there's no way any coach would do that. So it's coming from somewhere, but it's not us, because we're scared to death of them. They are a heck of a coach team, heck of a playing team. You know, I don't know where everybody's going to finish, but 80 games from now, I guess we'll figure that out.
Brad, 25 points, 4 assists for Jaylen tonight. He had that long pass to Gordon on the break there. Can you just talk about just the evolution of his vision that you've seen over the last few years here?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. He made a couple of nice kick-out passes, too, earlier in the game. You know, I thought the other thing that Jaylen did today, other than rebounding, was he came over and provided some rim protection when we were playing our 6'8" and under group. So that was really helpful. And he was just aware and alert, and he's got a lot more experience to be able to do those things.
And how did the first coach's challenge feel?
That was just exhilarating. Yeah. We'll get in a little bit later tonight, but at least we won the challenge.
Brad, at the end there, in the midst of Kemba's run, Jaylen took a rushed shot.
I don't remember that one.
You don't? You seem to react pretty nicely to
I remember
that.
it. I loved his reaction. That's all I care about right now.
Jaylen's reaction?
Yeah, I loved his reaction. He knew, and I loved Kemba's reaction.
That's what I wanted
And
to.
so both of those guys reacted great. That's what it's all about. We'll take the right shots, and I think we're making a real good effort to do that as a team, make plays for each other, as Brian said. That'll take care of itself.
Do you think that reaction from Kemba is something that helped Jaylen? Because that seemed like it could have been a point where Jaylen maybe in the past kind of thought too much, but
Jaylen's always been good, though, about being able to move on. Jaylen's a very accountable guy, you know, so he'll move on. But he knew, and he raised his hand, you know, and we move on. We just have to, you know, get it to the hot guy and let him make plays at that point in time. And you know, I think that our team will get better at that. But we all felt good about good learning point.
Coach, one more question about the coach's challenge. But you know, everyone around the league is trying to get used to this new rule. How does being at home versus away affect your ability to kind of gauge what plays you are going to challenge or not challenge?
There are a few different kinds of fouls that I've kind of said those are likely to be challenged. That's one of them. The jump to the side thing, the leg kick thing is another. You know, so there's a couple of others, so I won't get too far into it. But so there's just a couple. I don't think home or away is going to make a huge difference on it.
Did the video board help you in assessing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.